Good evening and welcome to News Tonight, where we get you the biggest news and events through the day from across India and the world. I am Tina Jha. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi dedicates National War Memorial to the nation. Built over 40 acres, the iconic monument at India Gate complex pays homage to over 26,000 soldiers who sacrificed their lives for the country. Supreme Court agrees to hear petition to ensure protection of human rights of security personnel. Plea filed by daughters of two army officers seeks policy to check violation of rights of Jawans attacked by mobs. Huge breakthrough in probe into the 14th February attack on CRPF soldiers in Pulwama. National Investigation Agency identifies minivan, teams on the lookout for the absconding owner. Normalcy fast returning to Arunachal Pradesh. Chief Minister Pema Khandu assures state government will never again take up the recommendations to grant permanent resident certificates to non-natives. And Railway Minister Piyush Goyal launches Rail Drishti dashboard. Portal allows passengers to track train timings, travel information, and seek complaint redressal from anywhere in the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday inaugurated the National War Memorial in New Delhi. The Prime Minister dedicated the memorial to the country by lighting the eternal flame, the Amar Jawan Jyoti. Rose petals were showered by Indian Air Force helicopters, and a flypast in missing man formation was also held. The memorial honors over 25,000 soldiers who have laid down their lives in the service of the country since independence. During the Indo-China War in 1962, Indo-Pakistan Wars in 1947, 1965 and 1971, Indian peacekeeping force operations in Sri Lanka and in the Kargil conflict in 1999. Spread over 40 acres in the India Gate complex, the memorial comprises 4 concentric circles: the Amar Chakra, the Veerta Chakra, the Tyag Chakra and the Rakshak Chakra. They have names of 25,942 soldiers inscribed in golden letters on granite tablets. It also includes a central obelisk, an eternal flame, and 6 bronze murals depicting famous battles fought by the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force, and the Indian Navy in a covered gallery. Busts of the 21 awardees of Param Veer Chakra have also been installed at Param Yodha Sthal. And ahead of inaugurating the National War Memorial, Prime Minister Modi addressed veterans of the armed forces at the Dhyan Chand Stadium. He said his government is committed to the betterment of lives of the defense personnel. He also paid tributes to the martyrs of the Pulwama terror attack.
जिए भी तो देश के लिए, मरे तो भी देश के लिए, जिए तो भी तिरंगे के लिए, मरे तो भी तिरंगा ओढ़ करके.
Fiery words from the Prime Minister before he inaugurated the National War Memorial. Addressing veterans of the armed forces on Monday, Prime Minister Modi paid rich tributes to India's armed forces. He said they rank among the strongest in the world and have always risen to challenges facing the country.
साल 2014 में हमने राष्ट्रीय समर स्मारक बनाने के लिए प्रक्रिया शुरू की और आज तय समय से पहले इसका लोकार्पण भी होने वाला है.
Prime Minister Modi asserted that his government has implemented the long-standing demand of one rank, one pension. He said the government raised the budget of the OROP scheme to 1,12,000 crore rupees.
वन रैंक वन पेंशन न सिर्फ लागू हो चुका है बल्कि अब तक 35,000 करोड़ रुपए हमारी सरकार द्वारा वितरित किए जा चुके हैं। सरकार का पेंशन बजट जो पहले 44,000 करोड़ रुपए था, अब वो बढ़कर के 1,12,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा हो चुका है।
Prime Minister Modi also said his government was dedicated towards working for the betterment of the defence personnel while improving the procurement of ammunition for security forces. Hitting out at the Congress party, he said past governments had ignored the needs of the defence personnel in preference for their family.
बोफोर्स से लेकर हेलीकॉप्टर तक सारी जांच का एक ही परिवार तक पहुंचना बहुत कुछ कह जाता है। अब यही लोग पूरी ताकत लगा रहे हैं कि भारत में राफेल विमान आ ही ना सके। साथियों, अगले कुछ महीनों में जब देश का पहला राफेल भारत के आसमान में उड़ान भरेगा तो खुद ही इनका सारी कोशिशों का साजिशों को ध्वस्त कर देगा।
Prime Minister Modi also announced the setting up of 3 super speciality hospitals for armed forces. Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said the government had fulfilled its promise of building the memorial for India's brave soldiers.
We waited for several decades for this great day. This National War Memorial will keep reminding us and the generations to come the valor, the pride and dedicated selfless service of our soldiers, and will inspire them to pay their respect to our soldiers and be a soldier themselves.
Addressing the veterans, Sitharaman said the memorial will always remind people of the valor of the country's soldiers. Panchanand Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
अब आप बताइए।
The Supreme Court on Monday agreed to examine a plea seeking protection of human rights of security force personnel who come under attack by mobs while performing their duties. A bench comprising of Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi and Justice Sanjeev Khanna issued notices to the Government of India, the Ministry of Defence, Jammu and Kashmir and the National Human Rights Commission on the plea. The plea has sought formulation of a policy to curb human rights violations of security force personnel who come under attack by mobs while performing their duties. The plea asks the centre to formulate a mechanism for dealing with and enforcing the security of its forces. The petitioners are daughters of army officials, 19-year-old Preeti Kedar Gokhale and 20-year-old Kajal Mishra.
आर्म्ड फोर्सेस पर्सनल के वार्ड्स 2 बेटियां हैं। उन्होंने पिटिशन करा है सुप्रीम कोर्ट को कि जो पत्थरबाजी वैली में हो रही है एंड ट्रूप्स अपने आप को डिफेंड करना बहुत मुश्किल समझते हैं बिकॉज उन्होंने अगर कुछ रिटेलिएशन करा तो उनके अगेंस्ट एफआईआर हो जाती है। पर जो स्टोन पेल्टर्स जो है उनको एमनेस्टी दिया जाता है। तो ये इस इशू से डील करने के लिए एक कोई एफिशिएंट मैकेनिज्म होना चाहिए।
There's been a major breakthrough in probe in the Pulwama terror attack. The National Investigating Agency has said that a Maruti Eco minivan was used in the Pulwama attack. The van was bought by a Jaish-e-Mohammed operative just 10 days before the 14 February strike. The NIA also said that the Jaish-e-Mohammed operative, identified as Sajjad Bhatt, a resident of Bijbehara in Shopian, has since been on the run and is believed to have become an active militant now. Raids were conducted by a team of NIA and the police at his house on Saturday, but he was not found. He has reportedly joined the Jaish-e-Mohammed terror group, and his photograph also appeared on social media, where he is seen holding weapons. The NIA, which is a central agency established by the government to combat terror, took over the probe into the Pulwama terror attack from the Jammu and Kashmir police on 20th February and re-registered the case. The Supreme Court on Monday dismissed a PIL seeking probe into possible larger conspiracies behind the Pulwama terror attack. The PIL, filed by lawyer Vineet Dhanda, alleged that the investigations by the center and the army post the Uri attack were inadequate, because of which the people behind it were not punished. It also intended to inquire the role of Indian citizens in the Uri and Pulwama terror attacks. Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi and Justice Sanjeev Khanna dismissed the plea. And in the wake of the Pulwama terror attack, the European Union has asked Pakistan to take clear and sustained actions targeting not only all UN-listed transnational terror groups, but also individuals claiming responsibility for such attacks. The statement comes amid heightened tensions between India and Pakistan following the February 14 suicide attack claimed by Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed. Federica Mogherini, High Representative of the EU for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the EU Commission, has called on India and Pakistan to urgently de-escalate the tension that has built up after the Pulwama attack. She spoke to Pakistan Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi on Sunday and discussed the current situation. The EU is also in contact with India. The statement said the EU's policy has always been to promote a dialogue between Pakistan and India to sort out their differences. For more on the story, we're being joined on News Tonight by Mr. Pramit Pal Chaudhary, Foreign Affairs Editor, Hindustan Times. Sir, thank you for joining us on News Tonight. So international pressure building up on Pakistan. The European Union has called on Pakistan to take concrete action, not just on UN-banned terror groups, but also on individual terrorists who claim responsibility for suicide attacks. The statement from EU comes in the wake of the Pulwama terror attack. Although the statement from EU calls for dialogue between India and Pakistan, Mr. Chaudhary, good evening and thank you for joining us on News Tonight. So as you heard, sir, the European Union has called on Pakistan to take concrete action, not just on terror groups which are identified by the United Nations, but also on individual terrorists who claim responsibility for suicide attacks, like the one claimed by Jaish-e-Mohammed after the Pulwama attack. Do you think such kind of international pressure on Pakistan to act against terror groups and terrorists will work this time?
Well, the question is what you define as action. In the past, under diplomatic pressure in similar circumstances, Pakistan has banned terrorist organizations, placed terrorist leaders under so-called arrest, but it has actually done nothing substantial on any actual terrorist front.
Yes.
And normally after the crisis is over, they have stopped doing anything or released the leaders under question. So when you say clear and clear, definite work action, you would probably be India would at the minimum require possibly that this terrorist activity, the terrorists be extradited or worse as far as Pakistan is concerned before it be taken seriously. That's one of the reasons why, while there is attempts by the West to carry out diplomatic action to force Pakistan to do something, nobody is taking that very seriously at present.
Yes. Also, sir, what's the message, in fact, from the EU is not just for Pakistan. It also urges India to de-escalate tensions with its neighbor. How is it going to be, in fact, how difficult it's going to be for India to convince international groups about its stand that talks and terror cannot go together as far as Pakistan is concerned?
Yeah, there is, the EU has always taken what I would call a postmodern approach to diplomacy. Believing that dialogue is essential no matter what the circumstances, and that countries should refrain from military action. The European Union is a bit unusual in that position. Within the European Union itself, countries like France and Britain do carry out military action and have done exactly what we have done against terrorist targets. But as I said, the European Union is a bit strange or unusual in its idealism on that front. But keep in mind, in the past, the European Union has not even bothered to make any reference to cross-border terrorism or demanded Pakistan take action. In the past few years, we have seen the European Union take a much stronger position. However, I think what the United States has said is more important in this context. You've seen President Trump basically say that India is going to take a strong stance, strong response against Pakistan if they don't do something. And what we know of the phone call between the two national security advisors, John Bolton, the US NSA, declared that India had the complete right of self-defense against a terrorist action.
Indeed, sir. But it's going to be difficult for India to isolate Pakistan completely till the time China continues to back Pakistan and Masood Azhar. Many thanks indeed for joining us on the show and sharing your perspective with us. Moving on in the bulletin, Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivered the keynote address at the Rising India Summit on Monday. Addressing the summit, Prime Minister Modi said, "How could there be no jobs in India when the country was registering record growth?" Let's listen in.
पर्यटन के क्षेत्र में निवेश बढ़ रहा है, तो क्या यह संभव है कि इन सारी गतिविधियों से रोजगार पैदा नहीं हुए हो? आपने अपने आसपास के माहौल में डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर और चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट को आगे बढ़ते देखा होगा। इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट के आंकड़ों के अनुसार पिछले 4 वित्तीय वर्षों के दरमियान सिस्टम में 6 लाख प्रोफेशनल्स जुड़े हैं। इनमें से प्रत्येक प्रोफेशनल्स को सपोर्ट स्टाफ की भी जरूरत पड़ी होगी। ऐसे में हम अनुमान लगा सकते हैं कि इन्हीं प्रोफेशनल्स ने पिछले 4 वर्षों में लाखों लोगों को रोजगार दिया है।
Railway Minister Piyush Goyal on Monday launched the Rail Drishti dashboard website. Through this website and app, passengers will be able to get information about various trains, stations, and the tickets sold. It will also enable the public to watch live feed from IRCTC kitchens across the country. The site is user-friendly and people can closely observe the condition of various facilities and lodge complaints on the portal. The Railway Minister assured that grievances of the people will be taken care of and people can closely watch the 41 developments in the railways on the dashboard. The information on the dashboard offers services under 15 categories, including tracking of trains, 360-degree virtual tour of train routes, freight earnings, and expenditure incurred by the railways. The portal can be reached at www.raildrishti.cris.org.in.
सभी कार्यों के ऊपर आपकी और भारत के जनता की दृष्टि पूरे समय जुड़ी रहे, लगी रहे, उसके लिए एक ये प्लेटफॉर्म आज रेल दृष्टि का हम लॉन्च करने जा रहे हैं। हर प्रकार की जानकारियां जनता के समक्ष रहें, जिसको जैसे इन्होंने कहा, कहीं भी किसी भी समय कोई भी जानकारी आपके लिए उपलब्ध रहे, एनी टाइम, एनीवेयर एंड फॉर एनीबडी।
And news now from Arunachal Pradesh that has witnessed unprecedented violence over the last 3 to 4 days. Curfew that was clamped down in Itanagar and adjoining Nahar Lagoon town on Saturday remained in force on Monday. Internet services also remain closed. With the army patrolling the streets of disturbed areas, no major incident of violence was reported on Monday. Chief Minister Pema Khandu blamed certain forces for the violent protests in the state over the granting of permanent residency to 6 non-native communities. He said a communication gap had occurred, due to which the government's stand on the PRC did not reach the people, and that led to violence.
और मैं अभी जितने भी हमारा अरुणाचल प्रदेश की जनता है उस सबको आश्वासन देना चाहूँगा कि पीआरसी मैटर को सरकार को भी आगे में भी टेकअप नहीं करेंगे। ये क्लियर कट मैसेज मैं अपना जनता को मैं पहुंचाना चाहता हूं। तो पीआरसी इशू जो है वो अभी ऑलरेडी ख़त्म हो चुका है। तो सभी लोगों को मैं यही अनुरोध करना चाहूँगा कि आप लोग ये प्रोटेस्ट और धरना वगैरह ना करें।
राज्य सरकार ने इस मुद्दे पर राज्य में हुई हिंसा की जांच के आदेश दिए हैं।
मैंने ऑलरेडी कमिश्नर लेवल का एक इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग कमेटी मैंने कमिश्नर लेवल का गठन कर दिया है। तो हम चाहेंगे कि पूरे जो सच्चाई जो है पब्लिक के सामने आना बहुत ज़रूरी है। हमें भी लगता है कि इस पूरे मामला के पीछे में किसी न किसी का हाथ तो ज़रूर है।
Union Minister Kiran Rijiju has asked the Arunachal Pradesh government to take all possible steps, including initiating dialogue with the civil society to bring normalcy as early as possible. He also ruled out imposition of president's rule in Arunachal Pradesh, a demand raised by opposition Congress.
Central government, from our side, Home Minister, and we have requested the Chief Minister and Governor to talk to everybody, build the confidence, talk to all the civil societies, all political parties, and all the student organizations, everybody, and take everybody along. No decision should be taken which is against the interests of the indigenous people. So state government has already decided that the joint high power committee report on PRC will not be accepted.
The death toll in the Assam Hooch tragedy has risen to 157. More than 300 of 2 lakh rupees to the next of kin of the deceased and 50,000 rupees to those who fell ill. He also ordered an inquiry into the period end of sentence, has won the Oscar in the documentary short subject category at the 90th. And that's it from us in this bulletin. Thanks very much for your time.